Hi, welcome to another Type with me. In today's episode, I want to talk about opaque types, better typing for strings and numbers. So strings can come in different sizes, right? So you have an API token, a server URL, or a template, for example, and these are all different strings, different meanings, and you can put whatever you want into that string, right? And that's something that we would try to avoid. And it's not so easy to do that within TypeScript. But another example could be, for example, a currency. Right? And that currency can be in euros, but it can be in British pounds. It can be in dollars, for example. So here we have euros, and then you have, for example, 12. But then you have const currency dollar, and you can put maybe 12 as well, but this number here is different than this number because the value of a euro is different than the value of a dollar, for example. But maybe you need that to do calculations into your code. So yeah, how are we going to solve that within TypeScript, right? So we can use opaque types, right? But opaque types, they are hidden for the application itself, but can enforce certain things there, and it can help you to have just two different kind of types there that enforce that you are using euros, or you're using dollars, or you're using the API token, or using the server URL there. So it's something that's worthwhile to explore, right? So we can define type opaque string, for example. You can say t extends string. And we can say that it's a string, and that we have a hidden type property, which is t, right? So if you now do const URL, or no, first of all, we need to define a type. Type URL equals opaque string URL type IP, for example, and then you have opaque string if you now define const google.com, for example, and then as URL, and then we do something like this, const p IP equals as URL, then you will see that we get an error, right? Of course, IP is not assignable to as URL. Of course, we can do this, right? And then we get also that error, so we need to say as IP. Alright, so can you spot the bug right here? Do you see it? Yeah, we passed to get data the token, which is this one, but we need to have get token from out server, so we need to send API token instead, right? And now we are fine. But these things can happen in code, and then we have a bug, an error, right? So if we go a little bit deeper into it, this is, for example, something that we can use, in that an art token, we have a results token, we have an art result interface where we have a token result token, and you can see the beauty of it, right? Here we see underscore underscore type result token, and that's been filled in because we provided that right here as a string, right? So this is a art token, and then here we're gonna return a promise with it, which is a secret token or a result token. And of course here with our get data we want to have a result token, and we don't want to have an art token, right? So if we have here made that mistake, we have here token instead of art token, then it says, hey, art token is not the same as result token. So we can change it, and we can do and use API token.token. Now we can create something like this, an opaque currency, right? And you can even go a little bit further and type currency equals, and then you can here define what the currencies are. For example, euro, and then we can also say dollar, and you can add a lot of other currencies that you want to accept in your application. And of course here instead of number we can say currency, for example. And then of course that's just a number because we still need to have that number, right? So then we can very easily define a type opaque currency, and then you say I want to have, and that's also great, you get directly options that we have. So in this case I want to say euro, right? And then if you want to have a method that can calculate a specific opaque currency, well then you can very easily enforce that, right? So that you cannot provide euro currency and a dollar currency. So now I added something like this, a sum of products, and we enforce that we don't want to have a union of these different opaque currencies. So we only want to have, for example, sum of all the euros, right? So what we can do is now const C1, for example, and that would be 23 as, and then I'm going to put something like this. I'm gonna just put euro and dollar to make it a little bit easier for me. If we now are going to use some products, and of course we're going to say which currency we're going to use. So in this regard I want to use euro. Say C1, it's fine. C2, that's not, or that's, yeah, it's not fine, right? Because C2 is not euros, it's dollar. So we get an error on it and it says, hey, I cannot do a product of euro. So in this case, you can very easily enforce it and you can say, hey, I only want to do a sum of euros and not of dollars. So in that regard, it makes it easier to still work with numbers, but also enforce a little bit that it's a euro, right? So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from it. I hope you can use this in your own TypeScript application. I think it's a very great and nice tool. In some of these utility libraries, you have also an opaque type, so maybe it would be worthwhile to also visit and try to use, for example, TS Essentials or something like that. But again, you can very easily create your type for your own sake as well by just doing it like this. Again, it also doesn't need to be this. You can also use something like this, just underscore type, and then here you will see that it uses that, right? Or we can say here, this one doesn't matter, but yeah, just create a cool name there that you understand and that you know why you're using that. So thank you very much. See you next time.